Hey guys, grassroots from Skraldejagt here. I'm coming to you today with another episode of Trash Talk. Today we're going to talk with Thomas Dambo, who is one of the world's leading recycling artists and the creator of this beautiful, magnificent troll called Tilde and many other like her. And we're really excited to talk to him today because he shares so much of the vision that we also have at Skraldejagt about trying to change our relationship to trash. So without further ado, let's go and have a conversation with Thomas. Yeah, so thank you guys and welcome to Trash Talks, and thank you Thomas so much for sitting and having a talk with us and spending the start of your day with us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's a really nice project you have, so I'm always happy to share my thoughts with similar minded.
That's really nice, and it's I think coming here, I'm a little starstruck also. I know me and my girlfriend, we've been watching almost all of your videos on YouTube the last couple of days, and both for dinner and for breakfast, we've been, okay, time to watch another Dambo video, and we've been going through a lot of stuff, and we're both a little bit in love with you. So I think that's gonna be really. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I want to start with a quote that I heard in one of your videos that really made me smile. To begin our conversation, and it goes like, my favorite thing about building a sculpture is to go on a treasure hunt for the recycled wood, because this brings you to all around. It brings you all around in all dark corners of the world, and often in these corners you find some beautiful places that you couldn't find if you didn't go on this treasure hunt. So here you're talking about the process of building the big trolls that I think is maybe your most recognizable artwork and piece. And this part of going on the treasure hunt for the recycled wood. And I think this really made me smile because it also really hit home with me in terms of what I find so fun and engaging and really makes me want to go on the events that we do is this kind of like treasure hunting and going, like, I kind of go back to like being a kid and like playing detective or archaeologist and like looking around the tracks to see what has been before or what's going on. I don't know if you could talk a little bit about why this is your favorite part of the process, or at least what you said in the quote here, right? And what's so magical about it for you.
Yeah, well, I think that first of all it's like to often like the good experiences it's like hidden somewhere, you don't really know where they are. And I think that so if you look for something that you don't know where are, you have to really look for it. So when I'm looking for trash, I have to like really like I have to go into like the back alley of the supermarket and see what's there, and I have to open up like the container and I have to dig everything out and see what's on the bottom of it, or like I really have to go investigating, and so that brings me to some places that I wouldn't otherwise have went to, and also it gives me it kind of like gives me the right to go there, because like I would never go into behind like a Walmart in Tennessee and then start looking into the trash there if it was not because I needed something there, and then I would never meet the dumpster diver who also happened to be dumpster diving there, or to meet the three-legged dog, or like to meet some of those people you meet there. And also that's the real people, because like often when you're like more like if you go through like your everyday life, or if you travel to another country and you're just like when I travel and I'm not working, then I meet the bartender, and I meet the taxi driver, and I meet the receptionist of the hotel, and I meet the person who's cleaning my hotel room, and the drunk guy on the bar, and like, so those are the things that you will meet because you do the same thing as everybody else. Yeah, sure. But when you come and you work, you meet like more real people, and when you start to do real people things, you also get the real people experiences. And so I think that's what I really like about it, that it's that I get to connect with the place that I'm coming to in a real way. The world is not just like what's on the outside of the consumption world, like all the people selling the things. It's also all the people producing it and all the people recycling it and all those people. So I think that's what I really like about it. And then so that's the one thing. And then the other thing is that how to say, that it's just really exciting what you might find. And because you find something that's for free, it feels like that you really hit the jackpot goal. Because there's nothing that makes you happy as finding something that where you just get something for free. And so I think in some way it's also, I think us humans, we are gatherers and collectors. So it's like really embedded into our souls, that we like to find things and we like to hoard things because we need to stock things to not run out of food in the winter. So I think that's in our psychology from way back before fridges and supermarkets. I think it's really embedded in us like that. So I think that's why we like to consume so much. But then as a dumpster diver, I kind of get that hole inside me. I get that consumption hole filled out by finding a pallet or finding a rusty saw or whatever I'll find, but then at least I get to do it in a way where it's just fun and I don't contribute to that consumption.
It's really funny you say that, because the first we wrote in the beginning of when we just started the organization, we wrote a small application of 20,000 crowns or something to buy grapples and stuff, and I had a sentence in that was quite similar to what you also just said, hunter and gatherer mindset is just so wired to this whole going in green areas and picking up pieces of trash. It's I think it's so ingrained in us.
Yeah.
So the next question I want to ask you is a bit more related to the trolls as also your most recognizable art piece, and I've looked at quite a bit of them now, especially on videos, the ones that are in other countries and stuff. And it seems to me and correct me if I'm wrong, right? But it seems to me you have that each troll has a story, first of all, and a personality and a voice, something that they're trying to express. And I'm curious about your process of creating that voice and that personality of each troll, because in some of your pieces it seems like they're very grounded and rooted in the local historical and social situation of that place, and sometimes it feels to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me like it's your voice coming through the troll, trying to share something with humankind and the people around you, that you want to try to manifest in the troll. And then I think also in one of your videos you said that the trolls kind of speak for nature, so maybe it's nature's voice. And I guess I'm just curious about if you could speak a little bit about what goes through you in that process of creating the voice of a troll, and what determines it for you.
So I really like to think that my troll sculptures are living beings. They're not like a statue, but they are actually alive. So I try to make everything about them to be alive. I give them names, and I give them stories and voices, and I give them a purpose, and I try to make them interact with the environment around them. So rather than sitting on a pedestal, they're sitting and leaning, or sitting on the rock holding the tree, or looking into the water, or try to really embed them into their surroundings. And then often people always want me to we have a local folklore story about an old man John who walked the mountain, and then the sun fell down, and can you make a story about this? Because all places have their own folklore stories, and I really love folklore stories, and I think they're really important, but I think that I want to tell my own stories, because I don't like to come to to Korea and then be the Danish white man who comes to Korea, and then now I have to tell their story. I don't understand their story, but I understand my story and what I want to say. So I try to tell those stories, and like you say, it is a correct analysis of what I do, that I try to take all the things that I believe in, and I think that it's important to talk about, and then maybe I split my personality up into 100 trolls, and then each troll has a little part of my personality in some way. Yeah, so that's kind of like how I do it, and then also a lot about that when I come, I like not to have too much things set in stone when I come, but more be like, when I come to the area, then I'm like, then maybe some thought pops up into my head, and then I'll run with that thought, because I believe in just being present in that moment, and being like, maybe I don't know why I think that this troll should be about time, but I think that there's something inside me that connects everything, that makes it makes sense, or maybe if it makes sense for me, like subconsciousness, then maybe it'll do that for other people as well. Or maybe it's just a coincidence that now that's the one I tell. But or the conversation I had half an hour ago or something. But just take some of the things that I think is close to my heart and my mind at that moment, and that relates to the area, and then I take those things and let them inspire me. And I think that it's also a technique that I use a lot, building with recycled materials, because it's really hard to sit at home at my kitchen table where we're sitting right now, and then sit here and then think about, I want to build a troll that looks exactly like this when I come to this location, when I've found this material, because it can be really hard to know what I will actually find when I then come to London. What will I find in London? I won't know before I'm actually standing there, so I think it just makes for a much better and freer design that I wait a little bit, and then I have like this many sticks, and there's a bird there, and there's like a red fence, and then I can combine a story about sticks and a red fence and a bird, and then like it just gives for a good and really efficient design. And it also gives for a design that is easy to make out of the things that I find there, so that my material is my friend rather than it becoming, or like the material is the friend of the design, rather than I have to force the material and really mold it into becoming the sculpture. It's like the sculpture builds itself. Like what?
It's not an obstacle in that sense, the material. In that sense, it becomes a guiding thing.
Yeah. So often it's like, there's like 100 willow sticks. Like I guess this troll should have really straight, long hair because all the willow sticks are straight. Or maybe there's like, in Denmark we have a tree called a troll willow. That's like, I can't remember what it's called in English, but it's this really like weavy and windy,
beautiful tree.
Yeah, really beautiful. So that makes for a curly hair troll. So I try to let the material inspire me in that way, because then I always have the perfect material. And that's just a really funny and really fast way of building. So I really enjoy that, and that same thing I do. I apply that also to the stories, and like I just grab the things that right there in the moment out of there, and then try to compose them together to one of the things that I'm trying to say.
I think that's really inspiring, and I think a principle that could be applied in a lot of different, and would bring a lot of benefit to society if we apply that principle to more areas of our lives.
I've also put it before, like about the material, that is like that if you create a design that starts with the material rather than starting with the design, then you always have the perfect material for your design. But if you design like, I want to build a house where I need like 1 million pieces of glass, and then you need all these straight pieces of wood, and like then you have to go and produce those things before you can build that house that needs exactly that. But you can also just go to the landfill, and then you can find some things, and then you can make a design based on those things, and then you can make a house that can be equivalently beautiful, because you can build basically anything out of everything. So like I always say that you can build like a house of ice, like an igloo. You can build a house of plastic, like a tent, or an air like an air house built, like an inflatable house, or a house built of stone, or a house built of wood, or a house built of metal, or a house built of glass. You can build a house of anything, basically. So it's so if you build a house of the material that you don't have present for free in that location, then it's all just an obstacle. But if you then just take all the material that you have there, and then you start to put it through the unlimited possibilities that you have in the human mind, then you can build a house out of what you have right there, and it's for free, and you don't need to go and ship it from the other place of the world. You don't need to pay for it. You need nothing. You just need your mind and what's right there. And we've made so many. Like we're working on number 76 and number 78 right now. So it's so we try to make it on all types of location. I like to do it most in like these little bit abandoned natural areas where like where you don't destroy the nature that you put it in, because it's like a little bit of a leftover, like an empty building lot or an old landfill that's grown over or something like this. And I love to have people interacting and helping building the sculpture.
So maybe I can go on from that, because I've also noticed that you use the idea of the necklace for the trolls a lot, and it seems like, to me at least, it seems like a method for you to involve like a larger group of people in the local community to be involved in the creation of the troll and like set their fingerprint on the troll. And yeah, maybe you speak on the importance of having the community involved and why that's important to you, even. I mean, and how maybe also that interacts with your artistic, direction or whatever.
So, like, I've been working with this type of community build for many years, and one of the things that I know that works really good is that if you can have a big group of people that can all contribute into a common goal, and then I can hold up the flag that everybody can follow, because I have a crazy vision and and I have energy, and I have like. I'm put in a position where I'm hired to do something, so I also come with all the tools, and I have the permit to build something, and I have the know-how and the experience and the courage to do it. But everybody wants to follow and be a part of something big and crazy like that. But not everybody will know how to build a troll face or how to use a chainsaw So what works really good in these big scale community projects is that if you put into the design of it a way for people to interact with it and put a real mark on it and really be a part of building it, but in a simple way, because I can't have 100 kindergarten students building the face of a troll or climbing all the way up and put a birdhouse in a tree. So what I learned from an early stage on was like, but I can have all the kindergarten kids help paint the birdhouses. So to try to make a design where it's easy and to interact with it, but where you actually help doing the project. You don't just
make it more complicated or
just make it more complicated, and the people who volunteers. You have to give them something that they can show to their friends, like, I did that. You can't just have everybody brooming or standing and looking around and helping to clean up or something. That's not funny, and it's not like then they don't learn how to recycle. Because ultimately I do this because I want people to learn how to recycle and how to make value out of their own trash. So I try to have people help collecting the trash and be a real part of the process. And it can be a huge hurdle for me as an artist to have like 100, like we had 100 folk high school students to come, and then I'm like, what am I going to do with 100 folk high school students to come for 4 hours? And that's when I came up with the design for the necklace, because it was like, I just tell them each to bring a whittling knife and to find a stick in the forest and then make a troll pearl. And then I make like the two extremes of what a troll pearl can look like. It can either be this little blap blap, or it can be this little bigger, beautiful, intricate pound thing. Sure. And then I just give them announce you are the people who will be responsible for drilling holes in all the pearls. Everybody else just make a pearl each, and when you're finished, pull all the pearls on this string. Here you have a strong string to pull them all on, and then come and hang it on the sculpture. And then in this way, I actually get a really, really beautiful and intricate necklace that 100 people have been working on for 4 hours. It's 400 hours of intensive labor into like something as simple as a necklace. And so it really gives the sculpture this feeling of like, oh, it's really special because there's such an intricate little detail. Like so that's that's a way I've designed a way to have many people helping, because so many people want to help, much more people than I can actually put to work. So I try to put them to work in a way where it makes sense, where they are happy and proud that they've done it, and where it makes the difference for the sculpture, but also where they don't hurt themselves and where they don't destroy the overall look of the sculpture, because it's important for me that the sculpture looks cool in the end and it doesn't look like just 100 children who each dipped their hand in paint and then did like slap, slap, slap on the wall. I want my art to be high quality art, and it looks really, really like you can see that it's real art. It's not just some fast community art that was just like made in half an hour because we just wanted to have everybody to be a part of it. I want it to look like an actual cool sculpture, because that is what it is, and so I think that's how I do that, and that's why I do that.
Oh, that's really cool. Let me see where I'm at now. Yeah, and I really like this quote of yours, like the sculpture has to be alive when people are with it, and that goes both back to what you were speaking about earlier, but I also think there's some element of that also relates to the community building of it, and how they are an interactive part of also creating it in a way, right? So we also talked about this a little bit earlier, and some of the things we're going to cover a bit twice, but one of the things I've been really fascinated with you about with your work is the way that you work with mystery and things that are hidden, and you talked about that in the beginning, right? But I don't know, from the beginning I always had this question in my head, and I'm not quite sure if it makes sense, but what do you think it does to people that we have this mystery, adding this hidden element, but it's like the way you place your trolls like outside of not the normal walking routes, but like a little bit outside that, where people maybe not normally would walk. What do you think that does to us as human beings? Or like, why do you do it, and why is it so important to you in your work?
I think it's if it's too easy, then you don't invest yourself a lot in something. Like, and you know you know it from a lot of things. Like, you know it from in the dating world, it's all about the hunt, you know, and in the traveling world, it's this thing about it's the destination, it's the journey, it's not the destination, and I think it's yeah, and you know it from in food. It's like if you buy food, you don't appreciate it as much as if you cook it yourself. So it's and in the troll world, it's if it's hidden and you have to go and find it, then it pulls out the experience and of it to be like a bigger thing that you it's a bigger experience, and it takes longer. If I put my sculpture outside of the supermarket, then people don't even want to leave their car. Then people are just gonna pass it. Somebody is gonna roll down their window and take a photo of it. Most are just gonna stay inside the car and not roll down the window, take a photo, and just look like this. Oh, there's a sculpture, and then leave again. But if I hide it and I don't tell you where it is, and make it really hard to get to it, and make like a long treasure hunt of you have to go for a 7-kilometer walk and find all these cover plates, then people get really intrigued. Why can I not know where it is? Like, where is it? I want to know where it is, and it becomes a really big experience, and because all of a sudden it takes multiple hours to find it, and it reminds people that they are the experience. It's not my art is not the experience. It's them going for a walk and leaving their house and their everyday repetition of their normal life. That's the experience, and so that's basically what I want people to know and to remember, that you can go on this hunt. Like, you can go inside the forest. You don't need to walk on the main road, and like you can climb up in the tree inside the forest to look what's on the top branch, and these things that most of us, we forget that we're actually allowed to do and that we can do. So I think, so for me, that's like some of the main principles of doing it. There was something else I wanted to say. But yeah, it just makes it fun. Like that. It makes it fun for it also makes it really fun for myself in like, because I have to figure this out, like where to hide all of it, and I love that part of the job. That, like when I was a child, one of my favorite things to do was to go to a big amusement park like Tivoli in Copenhagen or something like this, and I would then stand in line and go inside a ride, and then the ride would like roll me around, and it would be really fun, and I would run to the next ride. And but nowadays, like the ride is like statically, and it's a screen, and the child sits in front of the screen, and then the amusement park is moving towards in front of the eyes of the child. But I think that in a good amusement park, it's not the child should be the moving part, not the amusement park. So the child would know and learn how to entertain itself. So I think that's why I like to hide the sculptures, because then the child is kind of like forced to run around and find the amusement park itself and learn that you are the experience.
The active one, right? Not the passive
active one. Yeah.
Receiver.
And but I think that we forget these things really easy because we like to do the easy things. Of course, it's easier to just stay at home and wait for the food to come here, but it doesn't mean that it makes us more happy. And then we spend our time instead like scrolling on our screen, but it does not make people more happy. I think often we need a reason to do things. Like, I don't never go for a walk. I always go for a walk to the top of the mountain, or to the troll, or to the ice cream shop, or something like that. So I think my art provides a reason why to go to those places you would never go to anyways.
Yeah. Let me see where we're going next.
And then, of course, because the sculptures are hidden, and you don't even know where you're going. You know, you're kind of like going in that direction, and then you have to get a little bit lost. And I think when you get lost, that's when you find your way again, and it's when you find like the little worm on the street, or because you get also your senses get like more sharpened when you're searching for something than when you're just looking at where to go on the map all the time. Like you have to like look around to find where to search for what you're.
It's funny you say that, because I think that's one of the key things that I'm really happy about that we accomplish with our events, is that having people go around, and we usually make competitions. So, you know, we have like a skraldejagt bingo, like trash bingo, where we have like a full plate of different items of trash, and then you cross them off every time you find them, right? Yeah. Or we have a competition, we can find the weirdest piece of trash during the event. And so people, they scour around for the pieces of trash, and then they activate their brain in a whole other way to search for the trash. And then usually, like I've heard this so many times now, like when they then leave the event, they go out into Copenhagen, which is where we primarily do it right now, and then they come back next event and they're like, oh my god, I never saw this much trash in Copenhagen. I never knew there was so much trash in Copenhagen, but because usually they would just like block it out, right? Yeah. But now they are engaged in, like, they see it in a whole other way, and it's kind of the same mechanism going on there, right? It's really interesting.
That's a really cool project you're doing.
And this leads me to the not the final question, but the second final question, which is, and I think this is maybe my favorite quote of yours so far, which is, "A way is right here." And to me, what that meant was that, you know, there are all these like climate and environmental issues are very abstract and global in a sense. Especially with global warming becoming an ever increasing like popular topic and issue. So it's very far away, and it's very not physical and in the flesh, and like something you can touch and feel and fucking, you know, be alive with. But it's this abstract far away thing, and
away is in the sense of throwing it away.
Okay.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
and actually, it's not something I said. I heard someone else say something along those lines, and I can't remember who it was. Or like, I would love to know who it was again, but like, I don't remember if it was throw it out or throw it away or however it was. But like, but it all stays right here on our planet.
Exactly, and I guess the question then I want to ask is if you could just further elaborate why you think it's important for us to touch trash and work with trash, because I think to maybe a majority of people, at least a lot of people, and that's also something we're working with to break down that stereotype, is it seems like unsanitary or something that's disgusting or shameful or whatever, right? So why do you think it's important?
Well, I can tell you a really nice little anecdote from when I was in primary school, in a little hippie school in the countryside, where I had a beautiful teacher called Mose, and he would in all the between the hours he would read us a story, and then when we had a lunch break, we would sit and eat all our lunch boxes. And Mogens, he would always talk to us and say that we shouldn't throw our food out. Here in Denmark, we eat like a little piece of rye bread and then with cheese or with with different types of topping on it. And as a 10-year-old child, you'll be like, oh, your cheese is smelly, and like your fish, your tuna is smelly and it's nasty, and like you're like shame yourself. And then children get confident, and they feel like that they're doing something wrong, and then they don't want to eat it, and then we would go and throw it out. But Moses would have like a tray, and then he would be like, you don't throw any food out. I will eat all of it. So he would never bring a lunchbox, and then he would always say so he would get like my cheese or something like that, or like my canned mackerel, which can be a smelly food, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's supposed to smell like that, So he would sit, and then he would sit and eat it, and he would just sit like, be really happy, and then he would be like, Thomas, after school, can you tell your mother that she makes the most beautiful tuned mackerel rye bread sandwich? And it's so good, and you should never throw it out, and you should really appreciate her, because he also knew as a parent that it's a lot of work to make a lunchbox for a child, and of course, and he goes to go to work, earn the money, then stand in the morning, make the lunchbox, and your child goes to school and throws it out. It does not make any sense, But he would do this and sit and openly praise in front of all us children eating the food that we wouldn't eat, to show us that it's not dangerous. It smells. It's supposed to smell. There's nothing wrong with you eating somebody else's food. It's not dangerous. There's nothing wrong with it. It's wrong to throw it out. And I think that I did not understand that at the moment, but later in my life, I was like, this is why he did that. He did it to show us that that we should be ashamed of it. We should appreciate that our mother bought that food and made it for us, and so we should appreciate it as a living thing, and we shouldn't just throw it out because that's a shame. Because it could make somebody else, like our teacher, really happy. And I think that's the same thing I'm trying to do with trash, is making people understand that you don't get sick from eating something you find on the street. So I think it's something about the same that I do in my art, to show people that it's okay to touch trash, that you should not be looked down upon as something of less value if you if you bend down and pick something up from the street. You should be viewed upon as a good human if you do it. And you shouldn't look at the bottle collector who goes and looks into the trash can and takes up the glass bottle. You should not look at that person as a bad person. You should look as that person as doing something really good for the world. And I think that the reason we do look down upon that bottle collector is because we think that the trash is dirty and it's dangerous, and then we think that the people who touches who has to touch it is because of a necessity to do it, and because of that they must be less important than the rest of us. So I think that if we can change that perspective for people, then they will understand that these people are some of the most important people. And I think the only way to do it is to basically just put a big smelly shit in everybody's hand and make them understand that this is not dangerous, it's okay. it's okay to touch it. It can actually have a lot of value because the shit can also fertilize the ground, and you can grow a new tomato out of that shit. But in all this taboo, there's so many problems that lays in the taboo. We have it right now with the coronavirus. Now in China, they figured out that the best test is an anal test. But then we'll be like, nah, that's a dangerous anal test. We're not going to do that test. So we're rather going to do a less efficient test just because we don't want to do what seems like dirty and smelly. And now, of course, I'm putting it on an extreme like this, but I think that this is where the core of the whole problem is, that we are afraid of trash, and we will only learn that trash is not dangerous by actually embracing it and touching it and smelling it and eating it and wearing it and doing all that.
That's really cool. I like the metaphor with the shit, the quite literal shit, right? And how that can turn into a tomato and feed us again, right? So my last question, it relates to, I went back and digged in some of your old videos, and I ran into this this slogan of yours. I'm not sure if you still use it or not, but like turning trash into shelter. And I think it related to the birdhouses that you built a lot of in the beginning, from what I understand. And like some of the super cool ones that again were like hidden in like the environment that they were placed in, like whether it was a tree or in the middle of the city, they were like hidden in plain sight, like camouflaging into the wall or the tree. So you've gone through this journey of like building small like birdhouses to these giant trolls that are the size of a house almost, right? And looking back at your experiences and your story, what would be your word of advice to people who are looking to get involved, take action, looking to take responsibility for our climate and our environment, but maybe they're not quite sure how to do that? What would be your kind of, looking back at your history, advice to them?
I think it's something about finding something that you're good at, or at least something that you like to do, because if it's something you like to do, then you can become good at it over time. If it's something you don't really like to do, then you will never invest that time into becoming good at it. And then try to don't try and do everything at one time to begin with. Try to become the best at growing a tomato in a shit. Like it can be something really, really simple, Like it doesn't need to be a big idea, but once you dive into that simple idea, it can really you can spread it out. It can become bigger and bigger, and you can do it in a million different ways. And then it's something about physically going out and doing it, because often you will spend so much time about thinking about doing something and not actually doing it. So it's before I was like a sculpture artist, I was a musician, and we always said that it's like the most important thing is to I think the most important thing is to try and make something that you can show other people, and then you can get the feedback into yourself, and then you can do it better next time. If you sit at home in your music studio and wait for having made the perfect song and the perfect album before you want to put it out, then your own skill level will probably have risen above. So your new expectation will be above the quality that you have made. So if you always only try to do something perfect before you will show it to other people, then you will probably never be satisfied enough with yourself to actually put it out and show it to anybody. And then you will not get that feedback loop that you really need, because design is like a circular thing where you have to come with an idea, and you have to produce it, and then you have to show it to somebody, and then you have to take their feedback back into the next idea that you will then produce and show somebody, and then every time you go through that feedback loop, you become better and better and better. So it's really important to be self-critic, but also don't be it so much so that you don't get other people's critique back, because that's often what opens your eyes into how you can do it better. And that's what I have really enjoyed and have taught me a lot, like both being a hip-hop musician, because you have that one-to-one contact with your audience in the live concert, and also being a street and graffiti artist, that you have that interacting with the people out in the real world. So that's really one of the reasons why I like it, because you're forced to put it out there. I can't build a troll in my warehouse. It can't fit. So I need to build it out in the real world and and show it to people. Yeah, so find something that you're good at and just stick to a simple idea and try to do it again and again and again and actually do it and show it to somebody and get that feedback on it.
Yeah. With that being said, thank you so much, Thomas, for a lovely conversation. And,
thank you for having me.
Really good luck with all your future projects.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Cool. Nice.